when I first saw Steve, he was in WCW, and I liked his work. I liked his look, and I thought, this is the kind of guy that I could, if I worked with him, I could make him look good. Like, I give him a really good match. I could just see it the way he worked, that I would mix well with him, our styles. And I remember trying to talk Vince into bringing him in, and especially after I heard somewhere that he was in ECW, and I remember telling Vince that they should try to get him in if he's that available. And next thing you know, he was in the dressing room walking around, and it was like somebody had called him, and like that he was in WWE, and I always got on with Steve. I worked with him in the beginning when he first got there, and I think I guess at that time I'd already worked with Rick, and I started to have a lot of really good matches under my belt where I was pretty good out there with my psychology and stuff, and I've found that when I worked with Steve, in the beginning anyway, he was a little bit erratic and a little bit, sometimes he'd just kind of lose control out there, where he just started going so fast, kind of like a windmill, where he didn't know what to do next. And he'd forget everything you planned out or talked about and just make a left turn and get lost kind of thing. And you'd have to kind of swing around, get him back on track and get him right back into, and I found that he started to trust me over time to kind of, teach him how to not to panic in the match. Because sometimes he just kind of panic and just start going crazy, and I think I helped kind of calm Steve down and make him sort of just relax and play his character and focus on the match. And just, it was like, so a lot of times with Steve, it was just great acting.
Yeah.
He said the stuff.
Bret,
looked really...
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you think it might have been the 5 Rip Fuels he drinks a day? Jesus.
Maybe.
I own 10 Gold gyms, and I couldn't have kept Steve in Rip Fuel. I'm drinking the coffee like crazy. I didn't know Rip Fuel. I used to, when my son Reed was amateur wrestling, right, and I saw these kids in Oklahoma be running around the mat. I mean, they were on an Adderall or something, right? And so I figured out that I started getting his amino drink, right, and putting Rip Fuel in it to compete with the 12-year-olds. But I drink a Rip Fuel, man, and I'm walking around until, 3 a.m. the next afternoon. And Steve can drink that Rip Fuel. Nobody can stand in the corner and kick somebody 100 times in the stomach and not be out of breath, except for Steve Austin. Jesus, I love it. But I can see where I loved working with Steve too. But man, he doesn't get tired, and Steve trains very hard. Sure. But that Rip Fuel, man, Jesus. So,
I loved the matches I had with Steve. I always thought he was a talented worker, and especially as he became, got away from the stunning, Steve Austin thing and becoming more Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Even in that transition, he was still a lot of fun to work with, and I actually really enjoyed working with Steve right from the start. And I think the match we had at WrestleMania 13 was
amazing.
Still one of my favorite matches ever to watch back. If I ever sit back and watch a match back, I would love to watch it with Steve. We have a lot of memories from that match. There's a lot of not even funny, but just really intricate little moments to that match. It was a brilliant match, I think.
It was in March of '97 in Chicago. It was an I Quit. Ken Shamrock was the referee.
Oh, okay.
Austin bled out. Probably the best WrestleMania match at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was the best WrestleMania match.
1986?
1997.